The lovely Megyn Kelly goes on the All In podcast and destroys both Jack Smith and Merrick Garland. They're done. It's over. She's going to spell it out for you on all 5 of the major Trump lawsuits. Welcome. This is the Doug TenNapel channel. I'm Doug TenNapel, and I've been covering the fiasco scam that is Merrick Garland's targeting of the candidate Trump to keep him from winning, first against Biden and now against Kamala. It's not going to work. These lawsuits were fraudulent. Let's take a look.
I think Trump on appeal will win. There are so many holes in that case, so I don't think Trump will ever do one single day in jail.
So this is for the cases where this is the Juan Merchan case specifically. But now this guy's going to ask her, like, are you saying that they're all fraudulent cases, all of them?
So, Megyn, if we look at the 5 cases, 6 months from now or a year from now, let's assume all 5 of them go to trial. He's guilty of 3 so far.
Wait, what do you mean he's guilty of 3 so far?
Well, he's been convicted of 3, sorry.
What do you mean? No, he hasn't.
He's not guilty. He hasn't been convicted. This is a very specific thing that you have to notice. In the marketing against Trump, they're going to call him a convicted felon. Keep listening.
I love this. Eugene Carroll was guilty.
That was not a conviction. That was a civil case.
Okay, well, yes, so that's what I'm talking about. So that
okay, but there's a big difference.
It's still he was convicted. He was guilty of that. He got a settlement.
He was not guilty nor convicted because it was a civil case. It was libel. It was just monetary damages.
Yeah, and the Trump organization, they're guilty there.
That, again, was civil, libel.
Yes, of course. But these are the cases we're talking about. And in the third one...
she's a lawyer, right?
Yeah, of course. And in the third one...
She's a lawyer. You're not allowed to mix those words up. You can't just use convicted when you're not convicted. That's kind of the clarity I wanted to say, is just so you realize all of the marketing against Trump has used words that defy the legal profession. Megyn Kelly's an actual lawyer. She's bound to that code, and she's clarifying to these podcasters. By the way, this guy is not like a anti-Trumper at all. He's hypothetically playing the devil's advocate to Megyn Kelly.
I'm just talking about the 5 cases. Yes, some are civil, obviously, and some are not. Some are criminal. But if we look at all 5 cases...
You said 3 convictions. Now you're walking it back.
I'm not walking it back. There's 3 in which he was...
You should walk it back.
You should walk it back. He is walking it back because he's wrong. Even his hypothetical is wrong.
Okay, I'm guys, so glad Megyn is here.
Of the 5, 3 of them, he's either guilty or...
You got a bad result.
Yeah, got a bad result.
There you go. But that doesn't sound as bad, does it? That Trump got a bad result compared to convicted felon, 3-time convicted.
There are 2 more. If he is found guilty of those 2 more, Megyn, and 5 of 5, he had a bad result. Way to frame it. Will you chalk all 5 up in your mind to 5 different jurisdictions, 5 different prosecutors, 5 different juries and or judges, all conspiring to get him?
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the big take home. We're going to get into this a little more because she's going to break out every single one of them on the why it's true. But you can sit there and say, hey, these are 5 different cases, 5 different judges. No, all Democrats, with the exception of one, that is the Florida case with Judge Aileen Cannon, who largely threw it out. So all of the Democrat cases are the only ones that are still sticking. But that's Democrat prosecutor, Democrat jury, Democrat DA, Democrat state, Democrat. As soon as a Republican's involved, like Aileen Cannon, real justice comes out. So he's only asking her, like, are you a conspiracy theorist and saying that our justice system doesn't work?
That's all I wanted to hear your answer to. 5 of 5 different jurisdictions. Yeah. You think it's all lawfare?
Eugene Carroll, they changed the law so that she could bring a civil lawsuit against him, and she did. New York went 87% for Joe Biden. That fix was in right from the start.
That's number 1, the Eugene Carroll case. The fix was in, all Democrats. Here goes number 2.
The fraud trial that Letitia James brought against him has never been brought. There's no victims. The banks who were involved said, we didn't lose a penny. What are we doing here? We weren't damaged. Nobody was complaining except Tish James, who ran for office saying, I will get him.
And now number 3.
Then you have Alvin Bragg, who's a George Soros-funded prosecutor who doesn't like to prosecute any crime in New York City, where I lived for 17 years, except if your name is Donald Trump.
And number 4.
Let's go down to Georgia, where Fani Willis and Nathan Wade couldn't keep their libidos in check long enough to actually bring this case against Donald Trump. It's a repeat of what was happening in January 6th.
And the January 6th is number 5 with Chutkin.
Up in the case with Judge Chutkin, who loathes Trump and has sentenced almost every J6 defendant to way more jail time than their counterparts would get. Those are falling apart because of presidential immunity, which was handed down by the Supreme Court, who said you cannot bring a criminal case against a sitting president for any official act. Those cases have been gutted. Also, a Supreme Court ruling saying the same on January 6 defendants in general.
But that goes to the Fani Willis and the Chutkin one. Largely, Trump will get immunity on that. And the 6th one would be the Mar-a-Lago case with Judge Cannon.
And that leaves us with Florida and the documents. And Trump has torn that apart because Jack Smith wasn't properly appointed and isn't the right counsel. But there are other issues. They haven't even gotten to presidential immunity there. And so that one's going nowhere as well. And by the way, they're going to appeal it up to the 11th Circuit. She just threw it out. The 11th Circuit is conservative, and thank God so is the current Supreme Court. They're not going to tolerate that nonsense.
So I just made one video that goes over all 6 documents in less than 8 minutes. You can pass this around to your friends and give them the update on where things are at, and we'll close on this.
Let me ask you about.
I think
Let me
Jay Cal just lost his right to ever bring up lawfare again. We're done with your bullshit. It's over.
I didn't give.
And don't bring up lawfare again when your friends bring it up now. You have the case-by-case rundown of where we're at with Jack Smith and Merrick Garland. And largely, it's over. I'm Doug in exile.